Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Klausman here, back with another video. Hey, do me a favor, give me a like, a comment, and a subscribe, and a share, please, if you would. Thank you very much. Today, I'm going to be going over my 5 favorite backbar sets for PvP. Some of the better sets in the game. Some of these will be sets that have not been ran by a lot of players in a while, but are still extremely strong and effective, especially in certain situations. All right, so number 5, we have Armor Master. Armor Master is a craftable set in the Elder Scrolls Online. Very fun set, very strong, right? It's a it used to be a very like popular set to backbar. So it gives you 1206 max health, 1487 armor for the 3-piece, 1487 armor for the 4th piece. And that's pretty cool because it's on the back bar. Like, you get both sets of those on the back bar while you're running around. And then for the 5th piece, while you have an armor ability slotted, your max health is increased by 5%. That's pretty good for like anyone using Polar Wind, so like having the Warden skill line. But also when you use an armor ability, and this is really the only drawback to the skill itself, or the set itself rather, is that you have to use an armor skill to activate it, right? So that doesn't mean an ability that gives you armor. That means from the armor skill line. So you can use the shield from light armor, you can use the armor buff from the heavy armor, or you can use shuffle from the medium armor, which is probably what I would go with. All right, but so what happens after you use that armor skill? Well, so after you use that armor skill for 10 seconds, you get 5,940 physical and spell resistance. Now that's a pretty big buff, and it combines with your major and minor resolve. And so running something like this with major and minor resolve can give you a lot of tankiness, okay? And you can survive a lot. Now, does that mean you're going to be unkillable? Absolutely not. You're never going to be unkillable in this game, and you know, that's a good thing. Now, for me, why is this at number 5? It's at number 5 for a few reasons, really. So first off, it pigeonholes you into running 5 pieces of an armor set, right? To activate one of the armor skills, you have to have 5 pieces of that armor on. Another thing is you have to have a skill that's not normally going to be on your bar, right? So the lack of versatility from the set itself is kind of why it's where it is on my list. However, it is still a strong set. And could they make improvements? Absolutely. They could make the duration 15 seconds instead of 10. That would immensely improve the set. And another thing they could do, you know, is they could make it to where you can run armor skills without having to have 5 pieces. I think that would be a huge buff to the set itself. Alright, so that brings us to number 4, which is Mara's Bomb. Mara's Bomb has been nerfed a few times. It was a really strong set a couple years ago, and this is one of those sets that could absolutely make you almost unkillable, okay? If you were running this set, you were extremely difficult to kill. On the 2-piece, it gives you 1,487 armor. On the 3-piece, 424 crit resistance, and on the 4th piece, 4% healing taken. Now that's a very tanky 2, 3 through the 4-piece. Okay, that by itself is very tanky. Now the 5th piece, when a negative effect is removed from you, restore 1,106 health. This effect can occur once every 1 second. When you take damage and have 6 or more negative effects, restore 1,106 health per negative effect, and cleanse all negative effects. This effect can occur once every 30 seconds. Alright, so this is still a really good set, and it's very slept on because it has been nerfed, but the additional healing it provides you is really good, and you're gonna get on your back bar, and a lot of times in a fight, especially outnumbered, you're gonna have way more than 6 negative effects on you, okay? And so a set like this, it's going to provide like a realm of tankiness anytime you get on your back bar. You're already tanky from the 2, 3, and 4-piece, and then all that extra free cleansing, and then you pair this with the cleansing CP, man, it's going to be hard for dot builds to pressure you. Now, why is it only at number 4 for me? Well, that's pretty simple. I mean, it's most effective against dot builds, and this is not really like a huge dot build meta. All right, so you will run into some dot builds, like specifically if you're fighting me a lot of times, you're gonna fight me on a dot build, but it's not like a heavy dot build meta. And the fact that it has been nerfed like 3 times probably by now has definitely restricted the strength of it. I mean, back in this set's heyday, if you were running this set even against non-dot builds, it was so oppressive, right? You just slap it on a Warden, cleanse negative effects with the Netch. It was healing for a lot more than it is now. The cleanse was not every 30 seconds, it was like every 10 seconds or so, and it was very difficult to kill you. Alright, so for number 3 we have Clever Alchemist. Clever Alchemist is another craftable set, very easy to obtain, super like niche set. Alright, so you're going to use this in like ball groups a lot of times. You're going to use this on turn and burn builds a lot of times. So the power of this set is probably number 1, honestly, but most people aren't going to use this set effectively enough for it to be number 1 for me. But let's start slow. So the second piece gives you 1206 max health, third piece gives you 1206 max health, fourth piece gives you 129 weapon and spell damage. Alright, fifth piece, when you drink a potion during combat, you feel a rush of energy, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 675 for 20 seconds. So this is great for builds that are centralized around kiting and builds and players that are used to kiting effectively, because you're going to have a cooldown of about 25 seconds or so without this strength, this extra weapon and spell damage. And so you're going to want to kite, you're going to want to be fast, and you're going to want to be able to build your ultimates up and turn and burn 1 to 5 people really quickly. Okay, you're looking to catch someone really off guard with a burst combination, and a lot of times you're looking to catch a group. All right, so this is a very strong set, but it's not like new player friendly, and that's why it's only 3 for me. A lot of veteran players run this quite a bit, especially in the past. All right, so that leads us to number 2 on the list, which is Wretched Vitality. Wretched Vitality is extremely versatile, okay, and extremely easy to proc. And it solves probably the biggest issue a lot of newer players in PvP have to either just PvP in general or to a class, which is sustainability. Okay, so the second piece gives you 129 mag recovery, third piece gives you 129 stam recovery, the fourth piece gives you 129 weapon and spell damage, and the fifth piece, while in combat, applying a major buff or debuff, gives you 260 magic and stamina recovery for 15 seconds. Also, while in combat, applying a minor buff or debuff gives you another 130. So why is this easy? Well, there are a lot of skills that when you hit them, it's going to give you both buffs. Okay, so Race Against Time, Hurricane, for example, it's going to give you a major and a minor buff. That's going to proc both parts of this set immediately. And so what's going to happen is now your sustain is going to be free. You're now going to have free sustain on any build, and enough sustain to where you don't necessarily have to run a sustain food. You could run a tri-stat food and have more overall max stats, which works great, especially in a hybrid patch like we're currently in. And I know, surprise, surprise, at number 1 is Rallying Cry. Rallying Cry gives you 657 crit chance, 1096 magic, you know, not the best for certain builds, but it's fine. 657 crit chance. Alright, and on the fifth piece, critically healing yourself or an ally grants you and group members within 12 meters 1650 crit resistance and 300 weapon and spell damage for 20 seconds. Now, this is not a great set to run in a huge group, okay? But even if you're in a ball group with 12 other people, it's still a unique buff that you can grant them. However, it is best used in small group situations, either solo or no more than 4 people, all right? So for small scale PvP, this is 100% going to be the best set for you on your back bar, all right? So it's going to give you You know, the crit chance is going to make you harder to kill, but also the additional weapon and spell damage is going to really provide buffs to your healing. It's going to give you stronger hits on players overall. And if you combine this with the right front bar set, you can shred people while still being pretty tanky. Alright. So that's going to be the end of the video. Like I said, man, thank you guys very much for clicking on the video and checking out the channel. I'm going to also plan on doing a favorite front bar sets, top 5 for that. It's going to be damage related though, so pretty much my favorite 5 damage sets for the front bar. So look forward to that video. It should come out within the next week. So until next time, it's your boy Klaus, man, out.